Where'll you be going?
Texas?
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Go on, make it happen.
And now here's Steve and Michelle.
Welcome from the heart of Dripping Springs. We are Mallet and Michelle. I'm
With
Michelle.
me, Steve Mallet, and Michelle Lewis.
Hi.
Boom.
Hi,
How are
Steve.
you?
I am discombobulated.
Yes, you are. Yeah, you threw me off with that.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, a guest
Our
today.
guest, oh my goodness.
God, how long have you worked on getting him on?
A long time, and it's only because it's just really hard to pinpoint his schedule down. And it's Sheriff Gary Cutler today.
I'm excited.
I am very excited to have him on. He's our outgoing sheriff.
Yep.
He
Been the
has
sheriff since 2010.
Yeah, just served our county wonderfully. The other day, you know those highway signs on 290? The other day I saw one that said, "Enjoy day." Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Somewhere around here?
It was right on 290, like kind of where the Dairy Queen was. It says, "Enjoy day."
That's
Okay.
like somebody saying, hey, would you go along with this for me, please?
Enjoy day. Okay.
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 Are you going to? All right, I was checking in with you.
Yeah, that's
Hey,
it.
let's thank our sponsors. M. Elliott Studio,
Capital Farm Credit
Nomic Power Solutions,
and Mallet Integrity Team. For sure.
Yeah.
Who's that Mallet Integrity Team
I
people?
know. I heard they're awesome.
They are.
I wanted to remind everybody about the gala that you and I got invited to MC, the Night to Inspire for the Dripping Springs Art League.
I'm excited about
I know, yeah. I've never really, I have emceed events before, but in a very serious way, like awards and things like that. This is completely different. They basically brought us in to be idiots to keep the show going.
Pretty much. We're the what did I say the other day? Captain and Tennille, but I think we're Abbott and Costello.
I think that's probably true, yeah. So anyway, it's November 7th. The deadline to sponsor is October 15th.
Yes.
So by the time this show comes out, you'd have about a week or so.
And they're looking for even silent auction items too.
Right. So you can go on their website to get tickets and to sponsor. It is artindripping.com, and that will get you to all the information about the gala. So
And there's going to be good food. And
and a band.
And a band and some drinks, some adult cocktails. And they're also going to do the painting of the tiles, remember? They're going to have an art project.
A craft, I guess.
Yes.
Can you call it a craft when it's a
adults
art gala? I don't know. But anyway, they're going to have a bunch of fun things to do, interactive things. And I think they may have an artist painting something during the event, so you can watch how it go, that process.
Oh, I must have not been paying attention to that
I
part.
think that's what they said. So anyway, November 7th, get your tickets. They are running out. So we had something that we were slightly involved in the past week or so with somebody reached out to us, and Shorty Barnett, who passed away last year, who was he started the VFW here in Dripping Springs.
He was instrumental in the creation of Patriots Hall.
Yeah, really, I would say one of our founding heroes here in Dripping Springs, as far as how the town has evolved over the years. Well, his widow lives here in downtown Dripping Springs, and her air conditioning system basically just
kapooted.
The whole thing just needed replaced. We're talking inside, outside, all the ducting and everything. And Hometown Missions got involved.
The ducting? There was ducks underneath her?
There was ducks underneath her house. Quack, quack. So Hometown Missions got involved. She reached out to them, and she needed some help. And they got involved, and they reached out to 4 or 5 or 6 AC companies, and they all said either it was too much work, they didn't want to do it.
Too old.
Old. And the only connection we had was I reached out to Johnny and Eddie and Shay at Barton Creek AC. Wonderful, wonderful guys. If you're not using them for your AC maintenance and repairs, definitely give them a call. I called Johnny, told them the situation, and he called Chuck at Hometown Missions and got involved. And I went over to watch them doing the work, I understood why some of the companies said they wouldn't do it. It was dirt. They had to crawl underneath this house. It was dirty. It was dusty. It was hot. But those guys got her taken care of.
They are as good as gold. I've known Johnny for a long, long time,
Yep.
and he is a stand-up young man. Just
He is
really
a great guy. He's always been Johnny on the spot
Yep,
for us.
for sure.
Yeah. He's never left me high and dry. Every time I call, I called him once at 5 o'clock on a Friday and said, Johnny, it was one of my rentals. The AC went out on one of my rentals. He said, I'll be there in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And he came by and got it figured out. So
But the fact that they did this, as a community service, and they did this for Shorty's widow, and so many people had turned them down previously, and everybody knew that what a good cause it was, and they put their money where their mouth was, because basically they gave up 2 days of their time, 2 or 3 days,
they
right?
did, yeah.
Of their time, and they couldn't service paying customers.
Right.
They took care of this.
They did get paid for it, but
Well, they're
the hometown missions paid for it. But the point of it is they came through when so many other people wouldn't. And I think it ended up, obviously they didn't make any money on it because it ended up being a much bigger job than they anticipated. But when I first told Johnny, I said, I'm going to come over. I want to do some video because I want to show the community what you're doing. He said, no, you don't need to do that. We're just doing it for her. It's not that big a deal. And I did it anyway, but that just goes to show you the heart of those guys. They weren't in it for the publicity or for the pats on the back. They just wanted to take care of her. And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I think it is really cool. But
I'm sure you've seen some of the footage online of the catastrophe with Helene in
it's
North
awful.
Carolina.
Actually, have a connection. We have a mutual friend. She was a former guest on our podcast, April Miller. She was the expat.
from Panama. Yeah.
Her stepdaughter was missing in Asheville, North Carolina. So I called my contacts with the Coast Guard rescue swimmers and tried to get in contact. That town is decimated.
Yeah.
It's destroyed.
Well,
It's
yeah, there's a
so-
lot of little towns that are gone. I've just read, Holly and I have talked about one day doing that hike in the Appalachian Trail, and it's like 2,100 miles. And the group that kind of oversees the Appalachian Trail put out on their website yesterday that the first 843 miles of the Appalachian Trail, it's not passable. You shouldn't hike it right now. It's just trees down, and it's going to take years to get that back on there. The reason I brought that up for a number of things, but it's a terrible tragedy, and I don't think anybody in North Carolina ever expected to get hit with a hurricane and the amount of water that they had. I came across this story about, we had quite a few weather events in this country in the last few years, which has resulted in a lot of cars that were either fully submerged or partially submerged being cleaned up and sold as just regular old used cars, and they're not being reported that these things were flooded.
It's going to get worse now with the strike that's going on.
Well, yeah, no kidding.
They're not going to be able to get cars or parts or whatever.
Yeah, well, God, I hope that doesn't happen. But even before Helene hit, there were reports of 89,000 cars on lots in this country that have been flooded that are being sold without the flooding being reported. So, I'm sure this could easily double the amount of cars. I saw a picture this morning of a brand new Corvette in somebody's garage, and the water was up like past the windows. Yeah.
Oh, like they knew when your phone used to get wet. They probably still have it. It has like a water sensor. They got to have some sort of water sensor in your car.
I'm sure they do. Well, maybe some of the new ones do. But so what's supposed to happen is the car should be salvaged, and then, it's sold off for parts or whatever. And the title should reflect that it's salvaged. But some of these dealers, they figure out ways to get around that.
They're shady.
They're shady, but then they also will buy a car, say, in Louisiana that's been flooded and then move it to a lot in Idaho where you'd never expect a flooded car to be. So you walk on a used car lot
They're
in
buying
Idaho.
them at auction, right? Yeah.
Well, they probably buy them at auction, but they move them out of the – like if you go to Louisiana, you're probably going to go – I got to make sure this car was never submerged, right? Because that's an area where but that's not where they sell them. They sell them in, Maine and places like that where you just don't have flooding events. So Texas has the most of the 89,000 that this report had. Almost 70,000 of them were in Texas.
What?
Yeah. Yep. So it's something to watch out for.
If you're looking for a used car.
If you're looking for a used car, yeah. And you can do a Carfax, but that assumes that everything was reported correctly. So the article I read said, if they'll let you, pull up a corner of the carpet inside the car and look for rust, mud, staining, a moldy smell, anything like that. Open the hood and look like in all the nooks and crevices, and because they clean these cars top to bottom, but they can't get in there'd be a little crack where maybe there's a wire went through or something. If you can see mud in there, then it's probably been flooded. And they said, sometimes they seem like a pretty good deal. There are no flooded cars that you should buy. If you suspect that car has been underwater, do not buy it under any circumstances. It might say, you might go, wow, this is $5,000 cheaper, maybe, but those cars are going to have nothing but problems.
That's horrible that people are like that out there. And we need more decent people in this world.
I agree. Well, it's going to get worse with this Helene going through there. I'm sure there's thousands and thousands of cars sitting there underwater, but we wish all the best to those people that are out there. That's just... you live up in the mountains.
Your father just moved from there.
Actually, the town he lived in was severely damaged by the hurricane.
Wow.
And he's way up in the mountains.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, if you're wanting to get away, and I know that you're getting away in a couple of weeks, I'm not going to say where you're going because your wife is going to be listening. Holly, if you want to know where you're going, call me and maybe I'll tell you. No, I won't. I promise.
She doesn't know.
I will tell her. So have you heard about this hacking that's going on airplanes? Now, it's not necessarily happening here in the States yet. Right? Okay. Like if our airplanes don't have enough problems, like the Boeing problems and the doors flying off and, whatever, this and that. So Russia has actually been hacking in to the GPS systems overseas.
Oh, God, that's scary.
Yes. And so they've been suspected of doing it for years and years. The Kremlin is actually denying any responsibility, but I guess there's some sort of evidence. I'm now probably on Russia's list.
I'm sure
but there's
the hit list.
You're right. Whatever. Get in line, buddy. Get in line. So one of the things that had happened, I guess there's 5,000 flights or so that have been affected. Ryanair, I think we actually flew Ryanair when we were going from France to Italy. We took a little puddle jumper back last year in October.
In the back with the goats and the chickens?
It was really hard. Yeah. Wizz Air, which, I wouldn't get on a plane called Wizz Air. TUI and Jet2 were affected. Oh, but also British Airlines, where their GPS systems were jammed. So in one particular area, it's mainly happening over the Baltic and the Black Sea and Eastern Mediterranean areas. But the pilots are flying over and they're getting the alerts in their instruments. Pull up, like if they're at 10,000 feet and they're up, 24, 34,000. Yeah. And so luckily these pilots were seasoned enough that they know that this isn't what's going on. They're able to look with their eyes and they're not paying attention to the instruments.
Those airlines fly in conditions where you can't see.
Yes.
So if you got a pull up alert, you would think, well, maybe we're off course. We're headed towards a mountain. That would freak you out. If you could only see a quarter of a mile outside the airplane, geez, that would be freaky.
Well, this one article that I found, it says it's not just the GPS systems being jammed. Position tools, navigation, and timing, the PNT services have all been targeted. The radar altimeter is also forced to be switched. Altimeter.
Yeah.
Sorry, did I say altimeter?
Altimeter. Yeah,
the altimeter.
That's a different
was also
thing.
forced to be switched off during the flight because it was signaling that the plane was flying into the ground, and it was not. That was the one. Luckily, airplanes have other systems to fall back on to keep passengers safe, but the phenomenon is still, they said, worrying. You think worrying? I think that's a little bit different than worrying.
I think that's terrible. If I was on an airline and I found out when we landed that their GPS had been hacked, that freaks me out.
Well, I was just concerned. I have been all up in arms about Southwest Airlines changing the way they're going to start boarding, the way it's not like a free for all. There's a whole, I don't know, romance about Southwest Airlines where I can sit where I want to sit if I get there early enough. But I think the whole premise behind it is enough people have caught on to Southwest Airlines early boarding, and there's a lot of people
We
that
talked about that in the show I don't know,
couple of weeks
10
ago.
or 15 episodes ago, where people get wheelchairs, act like they're handicapped, like they can't walk, and then when they get off the plane, they just saunter right off. They're working the system.
Well, they have released all of their new airplane lines, and they have the USB ports and all of the other little bougie systems. You can put your phone down. They have like a little mechanism to put your phone in. So I'm going to be okay with just flying Southwest and not having things hacked until they figure out
How
how
to
to
do
do
that.
that
Hope that happens.
over here.
I've got a sort of a technology story about exploding electric batteries, which kind of piggybacks onto
Airplanes,
airplanes, but also my story about the waterlogged cars, because some of these batteries explode when they're submerged.
Well, you know what's funny is what did I try to mail last week to Kendall? Her keys.
Her car keys, and they wouldn't let you because it has a lithium battery in it.
Yeah, I had to mail it ground.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So there's reports. So all of especially electric cars, but your cell phones, all these are all lithium batteries. And there's been reports around the world of these things just spontaneously combusting. There was a factory in South Korea in June, just recently. There was an explosion in the factory, and the heat and the fumes from these batteries killed 22 workers. Yeah. In a battery recycling plant in Scotland, there was a fire, and it took like 4 fire departments several days to put the fire out. Because once these batteries start burning, they burn so hot that you really can't just put them out through traditional means. You can't just spray water on them. Like a fire extinguisher doesn't work. In New York City, the leading cause of
New York City,
get a rope. I'll probably nobody below 35 knows what that.
Now you're on a
that
list.
phrase is.
Now you're on a list.
Yeah. The number one cause of fires in New York City right now is electric batteries in bicycles. 270 fires were started last year in New York City from batteries in electric
I need
bicycles.
to tell Tate, because Tate has an electric battery.
Yeah.
He has electric bicycle.
So here's the thing about these electric bikes in New York City that people aren't talking about. If you have an electric bike, those things weigh like 60 pounds.
Yeah.
So you live in an apartment in New York, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's a room downstairs in the bottom floor where you store your bike along with everybody else's
It's
bike.
a bike room.
It's a bike room, or there's a parking garage or something, and that's where all the bikes are stored, because you're not going to put them in an elevator and lug them around in the apartment building. If a fire starts in the first floor of an apartment building, it's much harder to put out than if it's up on the 12th floor
Yeah.
of a 14-story building. There's not as much to burn, so it's a big problem. It cracks me up that people are just sort of overlook, like any product that caused 270 fires. You remember the Tide Pod things where the whole world just got so upset. Tide Pods, oh my God, people are dying. Pull those things off the shelf. Humanity, just
Some
freaked out.
people deserve to eat Tide Pods. If they want to eat Tide
Do you know how many
Pods.
people died from Tide Pods?
How? Many?
9.
9 people?
And the world
That's
went
9
nuts.
people too many.
I'm
what
not
about
saying
straws?
What
about straws and the turtles? There was one picture of one
a turtle with a straw.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know.
Stupid turtle.
It is funny to me the stuff that we overlook in this country. That this should be a national, like every news organization in the country should be writing stories about this. There are parking garages around the world now. You cannot park and charge your SUV in the parking garage because they are so worried that it will start a fire that will damage every car in there.
Steve, let's be honest. It goes against their narrative of save the planet.
Well,
and,
I know.
In the meantime, they're destroying the part of the world where they're trying to source all the materials for the batteries.
Well, that's true. Here's something else. In 2022, now presidential candidate Vice President Harris announced plans to convert buses to electric. Was $1 billion grant transfer school buses to be electric. So your kids will be on buses. So if a traditional school bus catches fire, the bus driver has a little fire extinguisher, walks out there, goes, and the fire goes out.
Yeah.
If your electric battery on that bus catches fire, that whole thing's going up in flames in minutes.
That's horrifying. Boy, we are just a wealth
Bundle of
good
laughs
news.
today.
Just a bunch of, everything's on fire.
The world's on fire.
Everything is
Everything's on
cracking.
fire. Run.
Everything. Okay, so you want to hear something even more scarier?
This is your surprise story. I'm intrigued.
I have been so excited since I heard about this new feature to tell you. It is terrifying, but it is very exciting. But it is terrifying. Okay, so Google has come out with this new AI feature. It's called Notebook M. And it's going to help you make sense, is what they say, of complex information. Good luck. You don't live in my brain. That's all I'm going to say. Good luck with you. But basically, you upload your PDF or your sources or whatever. So you could upload like that whole article, right?
Okay.
Or you could put your own text, and then it regenerates it, and it puts it in a, quote, podcast-like format. Okay?
Oh, my gosh.
So just for shits and giggles, I uploaded Gary Cutler's Hayes County bio in there. Okay. And I had given you actually
gave me
have
a copy,
you actually have his bio there. Okay, it's the Hayes County, the official Hayes County one. This is what it sounds like. It's gonna freak you out. Okay, listen to this. Let's see. Okay, ready?
Ever get that feeling, when you're looking at someone's resume and it's just line after line of impressive stuff? You kind of got to wonder, how they even have time for all that?
Yeah, you see those careers that are like a roadmap of different experiences. Makes you think about what drove those choices.
Wait.
Exactly.
Just wait.
And today we're diving deep into a career that definitely fits that Bill Sheriff Gary Cutler. We've got some excerpts here about his time in law enforcement. And let me tell you, the man has seen it all.
Sheriff Cutler.
This is AI.
All right, I'm intrigued.
This is not two
What's
people
his story?
talking. This
Well,
is
first thing that
totally
grabbed my
AI
attention,
generated.
Over 40 years in law enforcement.
Wow, 4 decades. That's dedication.
It even has
That's
the
not
smart
just
aleck
dedication,
comments.
that's practically unheard of. And get this, he bounced around a bit.
Wow.
Travis County Sheriff's Office, Williamson County, even a stint with the Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission.
Now that's what I'm talking about. Talk about a diverse resume.
Is that not, look, your face.
I don't even know what to say.
It is insanity. I actually sent it to Tate because, he's in med school. So I said, hey, you can upload your essays, or not essays, but your
Holy cow.
your synopsis of whatever the class is, and upload it into this. And while you're working out or going to school, it'll play this back for you. And she'll even laugh. Later on, she's like, huh, she laughs. She's
It makes
much
you
better.
wonder if there are podcasts out there right now that
Makes
people
you-
are doing this,
Isn't that crazy?
where it's not even two people talking.
Maybe you're not even real, Steve.
I might be a figment of your imagination.
You know what? You swallowed too blessed much to not be real. 'Cause you swallow
Have you heard
and
me
you
today?
breathe. I have. I've heard you breathe and swallow, and you were chewing on that freaking caffeine thing.
Anything to drive you crazy, Michelle. Anything at all.
So there's
wow,
a
that's
There's a
that's
world of
scary.
possibilities with this. I mean, think you work out all the time and, it's hard to read a book or whatever. But imagine if you're getting some real, if we're doing research for the show, right? Just put a little bit of that information in there and it'll read it to you in a podcast format. It's the craziest thing. It's called I just lost my
Notebook.
It's called Notebook M. And when you upload your sources, it instantly becomes an expert, quote, grounding its responses to your material and citations and relevant quotes. Now, here's the big difference between this and the traditional, over less than a year old, Chat GPT. It only takes the information that you've given it and regurgitates that. So versus a Chat GPT, it takes those sources
Right,
from
it goes out.
everywhere.
Goes out and looks.
This only
everywhere
takes
on
your
the
sources.
World Wide Web.
So I was actually going to do yours, but I ran out of time. I was going to do a bio that I had found of yours and stick it in there and see what it said. Oh, Steve Mallet, and see if it would get the name, the pronunciation correctly, or...
Are we going to be AI'd out of business here on our podcast?
Well, look, that's partly what this strike is about at the shipping yards, is because they don't want automation. They are afraid that automation is going to take away their jobs.
I was just listening to a podcast this morning, and they were talking about the writers in Hollywood. They're being let go left and right because they're using AI to write movies and sitcoms, and they don't need.
They're probably going to be AI is probably going to be funnier.
I just feel. You think so? I feel like the world's going to be boring.
I do.
If it's a computer generated comedy, I think it's going to be boring.
Well, they talk about some of the things the limitations that it has. So for like large notebooks or like
now it has limitations.
Right. You're exactly right.
What about 2 years?
You're exactly right. But it says it can take a while to upload. I mean, I think yours, I actually made you go in your office and close the door. It took like 5 minutes to generate that. It wasn't that bad. They only speak English right now. Sometimes they have inaccuracies and you can't interrupt them yet, which means like you can't say, okay, can you regenerate this and create that, like on ChatGPT, like I'll put something in there and say, okay, now make it funnier. Or whatever. But it's very interesting. It's on Google. It's called Notebook LM is what it is.
Okay.
Notebook LM. It's an audio overview feature that can turn documents, slides, charts into more engaging discussions with one click. There you go.
I think that at some point we're going to have to get this AI thing under control.
Well, they were saying that already. But,
Well, a friend of mine works in the power industry for a local utility, and she was saying that these centers where the AI computers are, she was telling me that one of them requested like 1,000 megawatts, which is like, a small city could be run. They needed that just to run the computers. And then did you hear that Bill Gates got the 3 Mile Island nuclear power plant fired back up?
No.
Yeah. That thing's been sitting dormant forever, but they because Microsoft is working on. You're throwing me off. You're on your phone.
No, I was trying to find the one that I did of you.
Oh, Microsoft needs all this power for their AI tool, and so they got 3 Mile Island. Either it's up and running or it's just about to be up and running. And I was thinking, how did Microsoft cut through all the red tape that normally is in place? Because in this country it takes 20 years to build a nuclear power plant. Now that one was built. But I'm sure to upgrade the technology in that 3 Mile Island and get it up and running, there must have been so many organizations, federal and state and local bureaucracies that wanted to have a hand in that.
It's a conspiracy is what it is.
Yeah,
it's a total conspiracy. I was trying to see while you were talking, I was trying to see if it would, if I could put our bio, the Michelle on Dripping Springs bio, and it's still generating the conversation. So
well, now I'm back, so you can turn off the AI.
Oh, hi!
Because it's been AI the whole time. Now
hi,
it's me.
Steve. Hi, Steve. How are you doing?
Yeah, just boring old Steve.
Well, let's take a little break and get back and have Sheriff Cutler
I'm
come
excited.
in here today.
Yeah, I'm glad that he's decided to join us. So,
or is he AI?
He might
is
be.
He a robot?
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows anymore? All right, just talk to you in a second.
Are you tired of being left in the dark when the power goes out? Say goodbye to blackouts with Nomic Power Solutions.
As your full-service Generac dealer, they offer individually designed backup power solutions.
From start to finish, they've got you covered.
Nomic Power Solutions, keeping you powered up.
Call or text 512-387-4232 or visit nomicpower.com. Follow on Instagram at Nomic Power for updates.
Nomic Power Solutions. Protect your home, protect your family, stay ready. Proudly sponsored by...
At Capital Farm Credit, they understand that owning land is more than just a transaction. It's a legacy, a future, and a place to call your own.
For generations, Capital Farm Credit has been the trusted lending partner for land loans, farmers, ranchers, and rural dreamers just like you.
Their personalized loan solutions cater to your unique needs, making the journey to land ownership smoother than ever.
Capital Farm Credit, your land, your legacy. Visit capitalfarmcredit.com or Mark Rutledge at 512-892-4425.
Capital Farm Credit, an equal credit housing lender.
This portion of the show is brought to you by the Mallet Integrity Team of real estate professionals. They are based in Dripping Springs and bring you over 45 years of combined experience helping people reach their hill country real estate dreams. When you want the best in town, call them at 512-829-2062 or look them up at malletintegrityteam.com. And now, here's Steve and Michelle.
And we are back. We are here with our great sheriff, Gary Cutler. Gary, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you for coming on the show. She's been stalking you for a while to get you on here.
She has been, and I've actually been looking forward to this. She was worried about me missing the date today, and I had it marked on the calendar. I was not going to miss it.
That's right. I know where to find it. And you wouldn't, I'm really disappointed, you would not come in here and put handcuffs on Steve, but maybe at the end of the podcast you will.
Well, maybe handcuffs on you.
I was going to say, can you perp walk her out, put her in the back of your car?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Steve and I might gang up on you.
Just take me to Pigpen.
Actually,
Take
you
me
know what,
directly to
Gary? You might be able to take her. I can't take her. She's too tough for me.
I hate to say this. We don't want you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I
You
appreciate
wouldn't
it.
last 30 seconds in jail.
I appreciate
Actually,
it.
I take that back. You'd probably be running the jail after about 2 days.
I would be. I absolutely would be. I'd have my own little girl gang.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way it would be. So you have been our sheriff since 2010, when the late, great Alan Bridges unfortunately passed away while he was in office. I have a real good connection with Sheriff Bridges, friends with his daughter, and it was such a tragedy, such a loss when we lost Sheriff Bridges, and so tell me how you came about to this position.
That was a terrible tragedy. When I was at the Travis County Sheriff's Department, I knew Alan because he was at the Austin Police Department. So we'd cross paths working from time to time. So I knew him well too, and he was my sheriff because I lived out here. So when he suddenly passed, then the county made an appointment, and they appointed the sheriff. Then I ran against that sheriff because it was in a midterm race.
Mm-hmm. And so it's been 2010
It's
already.
2010, yes.
And so how many years you been in law enforcement altogether?
50.
50 years.
Yeah, I started in 74.
So you went to college and got criminal.
I went to got a degree in criminal justice from Sam Houston State University.
Okay. So when
we
did
just
you
happened to beat Southwest State or Texas State over the weekend, but we don't need to talk about that.
That's right. Well, I did a little deep dive, and I was trying to decide or trying to look to see if your family, if you came from a law enforcement family, and I saw that your father worked for Southwestern Bell for a long, long time.
Yeah, my dad did a long time. He retired from there after World War II. He came back, went to work and worked with them for a long time. Retired.
So how did you decide to
why
go in?
law enforcement then?
Well, I studied it in college, and then.
But why did you pick that in the first place?
I just found an interesting subject matter in college.
Okay.
And very interesting. And I didn't go to college looking to be a teacher or I was a non-major the first 2 years, and I started taking the CJ classes and took an interest in it.
Okay.
And actually had a 48-hour major, did not have a minor. It was all in criminal justice.
Okay.
So I started out, that's the interest I took. Like I said, 2 years. I did not know what I wanted to do in college, 2 years. So,
well, you're not a minority there. There's a lot of kids I think go to college, don't know what they want to do until they're a couple years in.
I still don't know what I want to do.
Yeah.
Can't believe I've worked for you for 10 years.
Yeah, and I don't know what you do either.
yeah, what do you do?
I don't know, Gary. If you figure it out, would you let me know? But
I just follow him around and I just make fun of him all day is what I do.
So you got out of college, your first job was what?
I went to work with the Travis County Sheriff's Department as a jailer.
Okay.
Oh, so you were in Travis County, right?
Yeah, I'm retired from Travis. I started there as a jail back in the old days. back in the old days in the old jail at the courthouse in downtown Austin.
Okay.
And worked there in the jail. Started out, and it's really interesting because there's no training back in those days like there is today. You know, it's kind of like if you go to work for a convenience store, they're probably going to tell you how to operate the cash register, or the computer, and all that stuff.
They just give you a gun and keys
no,
and
they
go,
gave
here
me
you go.
a big old ring of keys, a huge ring of keys. We'd get a spoon back in the kitchen and bend it to put it over a belt to hang the keys on. And that's the way it started, you know. So that's how I started my career. And wouldn't trade it for anything. You learn a lot. You know, you spend every day with crooks. They're in jail for reasons, and they're good at what they do right up until they get caught. Oh, yeah. But they're good at conning, and they con you. And I was a new kid on the block, and those senior crooks, you know, they
knew how to work old
They
Gary.
would try to work you. They were working. They try to work you. They knew how to work you.
Oh, my God.
So back then, it probably wasn't a whole lot of serious crimes back then. Wasn't it like drunk in public and petty theft? And
well, we had some murders in there.
Did you really?
We had murders that killed an Austin police officer in downtown Austin in there. And so, yeah, we had our share because, you know, Austin's always been pretty liberal. So unless it's a really terrible crime, you're going to get out on bond.
Yeah.
So the ones that are in there, they pretty much needed to be there.
Wow. Yeah. Jeez. Was that a requirement when you joined Travis that was that Austin PD or Travis?
Travis County Sheriff's
Travis
Office.
County Sheriff. So was that a requirement that you start in the jail back then, or is that just where you ended?
Just where I started.
Okay.
I don't know if it's necessarily a requirement, but it's where I started and get my feet wet in that field.
Okay.
By being in Travis County, was there a lot of crossover between the sheriff's office and the Texas Rangers being the capital of Texas?
No, they work together, and they still do. They work together. There was no big crossover there.
So I guess what I'm asking is, like, if you'd have like big dignitaries or something come into town to visit the governor at the time. I guess who was the governor when you first started? Was it Clemens? Was it?
Ooh, man, it was the governor in 74. I don't know.
Did you know there was going to be a test?
I'm gonna look it up.
I don't know. Taking a history
I'm gonna
test.
look it up. I'm gonna look
She's
it
going to
up.
ask you your anniversary
74.
date.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, go ahead.
Good.
Y'all talk. I'm gonna look.
Wow, that's
74.
a good question. But
Is that the year you started? 1974?
74.
Yeah.
Oh, Dolph Briscoe. Look at that.
Okay.
There you go.
I don't even remember that. Jeez.
Briscoe. I don't even remember
Wow.
Briscoe. Well, I was 4 years old, so there would be. Yeah.
But you know, back to your question, if agencies need assistance, we all work together.
Okay.
In other words, when there was a big on there was several Ku Klux Klan marches in Austin back then, and we would assist. We would assist Austin PD and DPS and whatnot.
Yeah.
So we all would work together.
Okay.
We just had a smaller force, obviously, than Austin Police Department, but we'd always help out.
Wow. Boy, that just even you saying that is like, I didn't even know that kind of stuff happened in the 70s, Ku Klux Klan rallies.
Oh, they had some at the Capitol, you bet.
Wow.
Well, you probably had a lot of hippies too. You had to contend with in
Yeah,
Austin.
they were, the university, but they weren't a big issue. Not big an issue.
You never got to arrest Willie Nelson or anybody like that?
No, everybody knew Willie smoked dope. Just leave him alone.
I don't care. As long as he stays out of trouble. And so you did that you were with the Travis County Sheriff for 30 years. Is that right? You retired?
26.
Okay, 26. What did you do after that?
After I retired from there, I was still considered pretty young. So went to work for the Williamson County Sheriff's Office.
Okay.
In Georgetown. I knew the chief of enforcement up there and the sheriff and all, and they asked me to come up there and run their major crimes unit. And I went up to, I was living in Buda.
I was going to say, did you move? Did you drive back and forth?
Living in Buda, and there was no toll road. It was up 35 to downtown Georgetown for 3 years.
Yeah.
A long time. And
That was long enough.
yeah,
that was
every
long
day,
enough.
every day. And I was a major crimes lieutenant, and then the sheriff got jammed up there, and I left Williamson County.
Well, then you went to TABC, right?
Yes, I went to TABC.
You were telling us the story before we went on air that you and Ron Hood, Constable Hood, were actually at the same orientation, were hired on the same day.
Exact same day we were sitting at the table. I never met him, seen him before in my life, and he never seen me, and we were filling out our paperwork.
He's a good guy to sit down next to. That's because you could have sat down next to somebody you didn't like, but he's a hard guy not to like.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Isn't that
it
crazy
is.
how now that you guys work in conjunction with y'all work together? But
You got to understand what I did to Ron Hood. I made him an honorary Texan because he's from Arkansas.
yeah,
that's
yeah.
And I
right.
told him when he leaves office and leaves, I'm de-Texing him.
Taking that flag back.
Well, so the funny story is when you were running here in Dripping Springs for sheriff, and because I was such a big supporter of Sheriff Bridges, I didn't know who you were. I didn't know you from anybody. And I was just telling this to Steve yesterday. It's like, I think when I moved here to Hays County, I really became more and more involved in politics. And so I wanted to know people's faces and I wanted them to know mine. And I called you up and I saw your signs and I was like, look, hey, you know who I am. And I was supporter of Sheriff Bridges, but I don't know who you are. And I'd like to know who you are. And you said, well, are you home later? And I said, yeah. And he came over and he sat at our kitchen table, had a glass of tea, and talked to us like a normal human
Like we're doing
person,
right now.
like a normal person. Yeah. And it was the most refreshing thing ever to feel like you were an approachable, quote, politician, even though you weren't a politician. You know, I mean, you had to
Never
learn.
have been.
So did
You live in that corner lot still, don't you?
That's right.
No,
That's
right
right.
where you live.
did that approach to politics? Did somebody teach you that, or was that just natural? You were like, well, I'll just go visit with them.
Yeah, well, you need to do that. You got to
Yeah.
meet your constituents
Yeah.
and meet the people you're
It
going to
seems
serve.
like a lot of politicians don't do that.
There's such a demand. Populations are bigger and all now, but if that's the one. Let me say one thing about campaigning and running for office. You can't take away. You meet so many good people.
yeah.
You would never meet them if you were in a different profession, but you're out and about. And you meet. I've got so many friends and that I've met and run around with through the years because of politics and because of campaigning. Just like Michelle.
Yeah.
I came to her house. I would have never met you if I wouldn't have ran for sheriff. You know? And so there's a lot
You
of.
probably would have known me at some point.
I didn't see you in any wanted posters.
Thank you. Thank you. Everybody else puts them up.
Yeah. Well, I think that's cool that you did that, and I know it was a different time. The county was a lot smaller. There wasn't many people.
But I feel like he would still do this today.
I
if you were
agree.
running
I
again,
agree.
you'd still do that today. If somebody came up and said, I don't know who you are, I don't know what you're about, will you mind meeting me for a cup of coffee?
Absolutely.
I think you would do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you've been sheriff since 2010. Tell us a little bit about the office of sheriff, because the office of sheriff has some responsibilities and that a lot of people don't know about, as far as what you do in the county with law enforcement and the decisions you can make as sheriffs. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, a sheriff, first of all, has jurisdiction throughout the county, whether it's in the middle of Texas State University campus or whether it's right in the middle of Dripping Springs or wherever you got jurisdiction. And the sheriff's departments, usually like Travis County and Dallas and all the bigger ones, will usually or always defer to a law enforcement agency within that jurisdiction. In other words, San Marcos PD, Kyle Buda, we'll defer to them. We're there to assist them, and always will do that, but we'll defer to them. But we have jurisdiction anywhere in the county. So we provide the law enforcement services outside the municipalities, even though, if we're inside of a city and something happens, we take action. But we do that. And of course, the sheriff's department, all of them, there's 254 counties in Texas. I think about 251 or 52 of them have jails. Some of them are out in real small county, might use the county next door. And so you have to run a jail, which is this is whole nother topic.
Do we have a jail in San Marcos?
That's correct.
Yeah, okay.
We have jail.
How many inmates does that hold?
Well, we can hold up to 600. We just did a remodel, and we did a renovation and remodel, and so we run around 500 anywhere. We keep our count. It's been over 5, but yeah, we have a jail there.
You know what? One of my favorite pastimes to do is I get on Facebook, and there's a Facebook page called Busted Hays County, and it shows me people's mugshots.
She looks for people that she knows.
I've actually found some people I knew.
She wants to be the rumor mill.
Do you have the sheriff's app on your phone?
I do.
Yeah, you can go and find out who's in jail there, like right now.
Okay.
You can plug it up right now.
Be right back.
Pull it up on the screen. I want to stay on the power that the sheriff has, because I've heard stories over the years, that some federal law would come down and some sheriff in Arizona or something would say, no, we're not going to enforce that. Is that a power that the sheriff has, or is that a rogue sheriff?
Well, you really consider
great
a lot
question.
the chief law enforcement officer of the county, But what is the example you use, and I've never faced that really.
Okay.
You know, you would be this day and time, you'd have to see what's going on and just iron that out and why they're coming in, what they were going to do. I mean, people all the time used to come up to me and say, Sheriff, are you going to protect me when they come down and take my guns? And I tell them, I'll be on your front porch. And get me a rocking chair. I want a comfortable chair, and I'll be there when they come.
Yeah.
And we'll deal with it. You know, so, but, you know, I had never had to deal with that. I'm sure it may happen across this
I
country.
think the closest things was COVID, though, like during the mask mandates.
Yeah, that's a great point. How did you, some of these mandates came down. How did you guys deal with that? Because you probably had people calling you going, hey, my neighbor's out walking his dog without a mask.
Well, they tried to, the county judge did put out going to do a curfew, and I wouldn't do it. Because
is that right?
I refused to do it. And, I mean, you just couldn't do that.
That right there is why sheriff is so important and why people need to pay attention to the race that's upcoming, because that could have gone so wrong.
Oh, yes. Yes.
So
I had medical doctors contact us and thank me for not putting it out, because I'm coming home at 2 a.m. from fighting COVID all day. Last thing I want to do is stop and explain to you
why I'm coming home.
Why am I getting stopped? I'm coming home. Been fighting COVID all day. And then it was people like that. So no, we did not go with any.
That's a great example of what I was talking about, where something comes down, and if the person that's sheriff just enforces that without thinking about it, it can really impact people's freedom. So I applaud you for taking that stance.
Gary, at any given time, how many sheriff officers are patrolling here in this area of Dripping Springs, or this area of Hays County?
We have in this area, it could be around three. We have 12 officers on shift, not count supervisor. That's if you're fully staffed. Now, you may have somebody on sick leave or training and stuff like that. And then you have supervisors. Now, during the daytime, you have a lot more officers out here because you have investigators in this area. You have fugitive officers, our rope unit, people like that. So there's more out here during the day. Than nighttime, I'm talking about at nighttime, you could have 3 or 4, 2 to 3 in this area at any given time.
But in the time of an emergency, that you're pulling from all areas, they're all congregating to these.
Yeah, they're at a time of emergency call, they're coming.
Okay.
And you'll see a lot. You might see 2 or 3 units at a house because it was some type of disturbance in progress call or something of that nature. And they're coming. So we have a good staff and good officers out here.
Do you, I'm sure that since you started in 1974, the attitude towards law enforcement has changed dramatically. Do you think most people understand the pressure that law enforcement's under these days?
I think they do. Yeah. I think there's education enough out there that they do. And want to say one thing about the citizens of Hays County. I love the citizens we serve. I wear this uniform. It's almost every day. That's what my employees wear. That's who we are.
Sure.
And I hardly ever go eat in a restaurant or stop somewhere that somebody doesn't come up to me and thank us for the job we're doing. I'm talking about at least once a week, and regularly people do that. And that just makes us feel good.
I'm sure it does. I wonder if the Travis County Sheriff's deputies would say the same thing.
I can't speak for what's going on up there because they got a lot going on in Travis County with their court systems and all that.
I feel really bad for a lot of those officers in Travis County because I feel they're so very unappreciated a lot of times.
Yeah.
But what is the argument for here in Dripping Springs when people say, I don't understand why we don't have a police force here? Now, granted, it's taxing entities and blah, blah, blah. But what do you say when someone comes up to you and says, why doesn't Dripping Springs have a police force? That's a
great question. Thanks for asking that, because the previous mayor and the current mayor, we would get together and talk about Dripping Springs. Okay, the city limits of Dripping Springs is not real big. It's small. And there's a ETJ or ETJ, I guess.
Yeah, ETJ.
But the city limits would be the jurisdiction of law enforcement is really not very big. I can pull the call volume in the city limits, and there's no call volume.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, now, look, if you want to put a police department on, officers to run over $100,000 a year per officer, cars, equipment, and all the stuff that goes with it. And I said, to answer one call in 24 hours in your city limits.
Yeah.
So it's just not here, which is a good thing. That means the county and the city's safe.
Right.
Other than 290 with the collisions out there, which we all know about that. But for the call volume, and I can tell whatever call there is, and there might be a call volume here might be abandoned vehicle, might be a dog barking, it might be a disturbance.
Yeah,
but, I mean,
a friend of mine in California, I was talking to him about 15 years ago, and he was asking me about crime out here. And I said, sometimes they'll get a call, there's a cow on the road somewhere, and he laughed. And I was like, no, I'm serious. That's be an actual call to law enforcement. There's a cow on the road.
So to go back to the money involved in setting up a law enforcement agent with a communication center through us and all, you're talking about large amount of money, and is it necessary right now? Now, tomorrow, it's maybe something we need to look at. 5 years from now, 10 years, sure,
but
you may
the
look
sheriff's
at it.
department's not having a hard time covering Dripping Springs, is what you're saying.
No,
so
not at all.
There's
We
not
got
a need yet.
And the constable's officers are out there during the day, and highway patrols out here, you know.
Well, yeah, those mean old highway patrol. They're the ones that they're the ones that get. So where does the sheriff's officers or the sheriff's department? Where do you get your funding from?
The county government.
So the county
taxpayers.
So if you needed more money to have more officers out here because our area is growing so much, do you go to the county commissioners and say, look, we need more officers, more coverage?
Yes, absolutely. Matter of fact, that's a perfect question because our budget kicked in at midnight last night for this year. Started at midnight last night, so we're under a brand new budget starting right now. And that's the
So lunch is on you, is what you're saying. Just kidding.
Gee, thanks. Your lunch is going to be at the jailhouse.
You agreed to come on, Gary.
Hey, I'm telling you,
You knew what you were in for.
I don't know what the jail's serving today, but you might get a good hot meal out there.
Maybe it's hot dogs.
Yeah, but no, we prepare our budget. That's one of the biggest things we do. Like in our administration, that's big. Our budget this year's probably historic. It's $66 million.
Okay.
It kicked in last
Wow.
night. Yeah. And so we prepare that. And just like you said, we know our issues, we know our manpower and our call volume and our training issues, all that. So we prepare all that, and the commissioners work real well with us. I can't complain about the work we do with the commissioners. And they live in the county too. They want the county to be safe.
Yeah.
So,
Tell me about the relationship between the sheriff's department and the constables. What we had we had somebody on with the anyway. But what's the relationship there? Because we have constables here; they're based out of the county building over there.
Right.
How do you guys work together?
work well together.
Yeah.
We work all throughout the county in every precinct, and I know all the constables, and we have a good relationship. They're there with us, and you tell you what, we can count on them when things go.
Oh, yeah, I know
they're
that.
out there for traffic, and they're out there to back us up on calls.
So so say somebody called in a burglary in progress in Dripping Springs, someone called 911. Does a constable answer that, or do you answer that?
The closest unit needs to be going.
Okay, so
and a lot of times, if the constable might be right there in the area, that's great.
Okay,
you know,
I'm trying to figure out, because we have basically, I think for the average listener that they would go like, well, we have a sheriff's department and we have a constable. Do we need both, or what does one do that the other doesn't do? How do they complement each other?
Right. But yeah, that's in our Constitution.
Sure.
That you have constables and sheriffs and whatnot.
Yeah. Is there responsibilities that the constable has that you guys don't take care of?
They would do civil stuff. We're not involved in the civil process, serving of papers, evictions, things of that line.
Okay, that
would fall in bailiffing a lot for the JP courts, justice of peace courts in the precinct. That would be stuff the constables would handle.
Okay, that makes sense.
How would you describe a typical day of yours? Get up. What time do you get up in the morning?
Well, believe it or not, and don't make fun, I go to the gym up here, right here in Dripping Springs at about 6 in the morning, 3 mornings a week.
Man, good for you.
So I start out that, and from there, to the office, and then, you got meetings, depends on what your calendar's got on it. You got meetings,
sure.
You got the budget time of the year, you're really busy. So you're looking forward till midnight last night when our budget kicked in, we're done with it. And there's always, something you got to discuss, or meetings with other police chiefs and maybe the DA and things like that. It's just hard to say. Each and every day can be.
How often are you actually on scene now if you get called out?
Only time I would go out, it's really something I set up a long time ago, would be an officer-involved shooting or an officer injured in bad injury, either from a shooting or an accident. Major incident in the jail, something like that. But for the most part, it's
a lot of administrative.
Yes,
I'll bet you getting the call that officer shot or officer's injured is probably the worst call you could get.
Oh yeah, we live by the cell phone. Paging. Text messaging.
Sure.
We live and die by it.
Sure.
So if my phone's not text, we get every deceased person in the county comes across here, other than San Marcos, computer. If it's in your area or a hospice, maybe not. But, but it comes across there. But when my chief deputy calls me after like 10 o'clock at night, he's asked not calling to see if I'm sleeping good. Yeah. Because I look at it and it's from him. I'm good. Okay, what do we do? So, he's not here to call to brief me on something big going down. Yeah. And I usually know ahead of time if they're going to do big search warrants or anything like that. But it's something like officers in a wreck, bad wreck, that would come across our phone. But he would call. But when he calls, like I said, he's not asking me, hey, you sleeping good tonight? Yeah, yeah. But
and you were you were in office when Ben Gieselman was shot.
That's
right?
correct.
Yeah,
that's correct.
I'm sure that was a terrible call.
Yes, and I went to the scene. Actually, took the DA with me. He and I went to the scene, and then went to the hospital to see him, check on him. Wow. And they got very lucky that night. Yeah, that was 100% ambush. Yeah. And they got it very lucky.
He told us a little bit about that when he was here. And that's a scary, scary time for everybody.
Since you've been in office, since I've lived here in Dripping Springs, there's been some really kind of interesting cases that I've kind of followed, some horrific and tragic, and especially like during the Black Lives Matter. We were worried kind of what was going to be brought down from Travis County into here. But one of the things that we had a very interesting case here where down off of 12, there was a woman that was house sitting and she was murdered, and they set the house on fire in order to cover up the murder. And in this area, that is such an anomaly, so odd.
Do you remember that, Carrie?
I remember it, and you hadn't had anything close to it since. So you're right. What you're saying, you're exactly right. It's just one of those incidents. We did, make the arrest and all, but I remember it well, and you're right. You just, when you see that out here, you just, it's a shock.
But from Hays County as a whole, right? We're looking at all of Hays County. I mean, you look at Dripping Springs, and we're kind of this little, we used to be this little sleepy Mayberry kind of town, and now we're not. So what are we seeing out in this area that we really weren't seeing 10, even 5 years ago?
Of course, the big thing on that is traffic. Yeah, I mean, you and I were talking a while ago about the intersection traffic of 290 and Retro 12 is completely, it's crowded. It's crazy.
It's horrid.
It's crazy. But that and what we'll see out here with this increase, with all the good people moving here, and a lot of good people moving here, you'll have some bad show up out here. We'd had some issues with burglary vehicles.
Oh yeah, up in my little area, yeah.
Belterra, and what we found out, and we go to the HOAs and go to their meetings and tell them, lock your cars, don't leave your $200 pair of sunglasses laying on your dash and your window down.
Your gun
because
in your glove.
We'll tell people because they're going to check. Mostly they don't like to break glass. It makes noise. Unlock car. They're going to check your door. If it's unlocked, they may just, in a matter of seconds, they can be in and out.
Oh, sure.
So we had that, leave your laptop laying in your seat, with your car unlocked. So we, worked with our homeowners and all that and tell people about that. That would be something. We had a rash of them. And
it was a gang, wasn't
it? You'd be shocked to tell you where they're from. Austin, Southeast Austin would come up here, and look at these nice homes and residents out here in neighborhoods, and they come. Yeah, they would come out of Austin. They were coming out of Austin. We let people know it's not your local.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not people from Hays County. See, it was probably 15 years ago. There was a rash of cars in Belterra. People would come out in the morning and their cars were on blocks and the wheels were gone. Do you remember that?
I know that's happened.
It happened like 6 cars over the course of like 2 weeks.
That was me. I didn't want to go to work. I was taking your tires off.
It's the same thing you preach to people about going to the mall at Christmas time.
Yeah.
Lock your cars. Yeah. Don't leave your presents laying right
Don't put
there.
all the packages in the back seat and then just go back.
I do have to say that I do have a false sense of security in the sense that I've lived in the same house for 18, 19 years. We live in a gated community, blah, 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 blah. And I feel like my home is my castle, right? And so why would anybody even come into my yard if they weren't invited or if it's the Amazon guy? Yeah. I mean, so there is that kind of false sense of security, like I said, and
Well, like I said, we're growing. And with that, you can have some bad come with the good.
We still, we're real estate business is our main, how we pay the bills, but we still all the time go list somebody's house and we need a key for the showings, and I'll go, I need a key. And they go, we haven't locked the door in 20 years.
Yes,
I'm like,
all the time.
It's time for you to start locking the door. Times are different now. I know you've been here a long time, but things have changed.
That's the same way with the cars.
Yeah,
they
exactly.
Go park at the HEB and right next to somebody, don't lock the car, leave the windows down. And next thing you know.
Oh, yeah.
That would be me.
Michelle.
If you go out to my car right now, it's not locked. It's not locked. Don't look at me that way. That's a judgy look, Gary.
Steve, I'm holding you responsible for that.
Oh, yeah, no, please. I've got no control over her, Gary. None. I want to kind of move on to something else. When was open carry passed? It was like a year and a half, 2 years ago?
Yeah, it's a couple of years ago.
A couple of years ago. So one of my friends, when that was about to be implemented, she said to me, there's going to be blood running in the streets. Have you had any problems with open carry since it was implemented?
Not a one.
Not even a single
one that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
Every now and then when it first came out, you'd hear somebody call in.
Yeah.
Like
that.
that.
My neighbor's got a gun.
Somebody's in the HEB with a gun or somewhere in the location. Yeah. But no blood in the streets that I'm aware of.
Interesting. Yeah. I just
That's
like
a great
to point.
question.
Well, but I just like to point it out because I think a lot of people were expecting that was going to go south, and you've had no problems at all.
No, let me tell you about carrying a gun, though. It's not as you may think it's fun, sounds good, but to walk around with it stuck in your tail all day, it's not as fun as you like sitting in your church, in the back with one end. It's not always comfortable. Under your coat.
No, it's not. I have a friend of mine that she's an FBI agent, and one time I went purse shopping with her, and as an agent, she's required, I think, to carry 2 guns and like 3 clips on her at all time. And I was like, you are the worst person to ever go shopping for a clip or for a purse because it has to be able to hold her clips, and then shopping just clothes. She either has it in her by her ankle or she has like one right underneath her bra strap. And I'm like, this is difficult.
Didn't she tell you it's not fun, did she?
It's not fun. And she's short, she's really short, and she's like, got to make sure that it's not, you sit down and you want to eat and it's like digging in your belly button.
And but hanging it on the chair, getting up and all that stuff. So it's, we have to do that. That's the choice. We chose those careers, but it's, so the citizens that want to carry it,
it probably gets old pretty quick. But if you're going to go someplace where you're worried about your safety, it's nice to have that option.
Absolutely.
If you want to do that. So you've been in politics now for roughly 15 years.
A campaign a year, about 15 years.
Yeah. Have you ever had anybody in the media write any critical stories of you?
Oh, yeah.
It's perfect. Yeah. Everything is perfect.
No, you'll have some, Yeah.
How do you take that?
A couple of things. The way I tell people getting in, if you're not leathered, don't get in this job. Oh. You got to be a little leathered because people are going to throw stuff at you.
But it's one thing for it to come after you, right? Because you chose this. But your beautiful, gorgeous late wife, Carol, and your 2 boys. Carol was fighting cancer for many, many, many years. And I think it's got to sometimes have an emotional toll on her at the time when you're running and they're attacking the person that you love.
Right. That's true. That's what you just nailed it. My wife they came after me. It's fair game. And I understood that.
Sure,
I understood that when I put my name out there to run. But she would really get upset because a lot of times when they come after you, it's just not true. It's just a bald-faced lie that they're saying, and she didn't handle that real well sometimes.
Get a little feisty blonde in her.
Yeah, she didn't like it, and I just have to tell her, just let it go. Like I said, you have to be leathered in this job because they're going to come after you.
Yeah. Do you address it, or you just let it fall off your back?
Well, you got to be careful addressing it, especially on social media. If somebody's saying something that's just not true, you got to be careful addressing that because then you're going to get into an exchange. You don't want that. You just kind of let it go.
I never do that ever. I never get in an exchange on social media.
She tells me some of the stuff she says to people online. I'm like, Michelle.
I don't anymore.
Oh, she has
today.
That's
Today. I didn't anymore
haven't done it today. Yeah. So you're retiring at the end of the year. You're not running.
That's correct.
For sheriff again. Who are you supporting in the upcoming?
Anthony Hippolito.
Okay.
Let me tell you a little bit about Anthony. I actually can almost say in a roundabout way I watched him grow up because he was in Hayes, and my boys both went to Hayes. He was a little older than them. I saw him many a Friday night on a football field. He was very competitive on the football field. So I know his whole family. His dad was also a police officer. He's got a brother that works for me now. That been working for the sheriff's department almost 20 years.
Wow.
And so in a roundabout way, I've seen him grow up, and he's a good young man. And so he and I talked about it in the gym. I know you're looking at me like you don't go to the gym.
Stop.
One day he asked me how many more terms I was going to run. This was a while back, and I said, "Well, Anthony, I'll take them one at a time." And then I ran again, and then I told him after that I wasn't running anymore. And he expressed an interest in it. I was glad to hear that because, like I said, I knew his background. He was at the Austin Police Department at the time. And like I said, I know his whole family, and he had another brother that played football with my boys on the team, and so his younger one, his middle brother, I think it is, or no, it may be the younger one that works for me now. He's in my house all the time growing up because he played football with my youngest son, and they're always over at the house eating everything in it. And so I've seen that about him, and he's definitely the right man. I feel like being in this profession 50 years, I have a little insight about what it would take to do it, and he's truly the person that can do it. I have not a doubt in my mind.
I feel like he really loves the people in Hayes County and really loves the people that work in the office there and wants to take good care of them.
I agree, and he's got an amazing family support system as well. Peggy, his wife, is just good as gold, and I think without that, kind of like your sidekick, Carol, without having that release when you walk in that door and having somebody that knows you on the inside out, it makes the job a lot harder. But you
go to so many events, mentioned my wife, we'd go to events all the time. You campaign all the time. Sure. Well, some reason or other, maybe she wasn't feeling good or had other commitments, she couldn't go, and I'd show up, and they said, "Where's Carol?" And I said, "Well, she couldn't make that, and she's not running for sheriff. I am." They said, "We don't care. We'd rather talk to her than you." So Peggy's going to get him a lot of votes. I tell you that.
That's right.
They're a great family.
For sure.
Well, I hope that they do prevail in the election. But so why did you decide to retire? Just be up front with you. The last time I ran, I was thinking about not running again, and I have a command staff that I just love. They are rock solid, long time employees, and it's like if you left me in the loop, the command staff of the Hayes County Sheriff's Department is about 150 years of experience. Wow. My command staff's got over 100 years. I sent 3 of them have been to the National FBI Academy. Wow. I sent the first female in the history of the department to the National FBI Academy for 3 months. She's the first female captain in the history of the department. And I love these people. And my last time out, they were at the breaking point on retirement. And I said, these people, I can't take a chance on somebody coming in that would mess them
changing
around.
Things up.
And let these people finish their careers. So that's why I ran. And I didn't intend to run after that one. I look at my age, look at what I've done, and I want to leave, more or less, look in the mirror and say I can leave on top. I feel very good about my accomplishments and where we are at the sheriff's office today.
What's on the horizon for you, though?
Well, I got my son lives in Wimberley and 3 granddaughters, 2 step-granddaughters, and the boss of the family, who's my 5-year-old.
I've seen pictures of this 5-year-old.
So, the oldest granddaughter is a varsity cheerleader for Wimberley. So I was at their football game last Friday night. So with him down the road, and I got a ranch in Hill Country, and I spent a lot of time out there. And a lot of time, I will go back and forth. Sure. And so I plan on spending a lot of time out there and time here and following my grandkids and making sure I spoil that 5-year-old who is the most spoiled child this side of the Mississippi because I don't know what's on the other side over there.
Well, you're not riding off into the sunset. That's the thing. You're going to be around and you're going to be still supporting Anthony.
Do you think you'll still stay involved in politics?
No.
You're done.
I'm done.
You are out. Okay.
I'm done.
Yeah.
I am done. So I have a couple of rapid fire questions
Go
for
for
you.
it.
So, okay. So your favorite bathroom gas station in Hayes County? Yeah, that's actually a question.
I don't write those. I have no input in those.
My favorite bathroom.
Yeah, your favorite
Like
bathroom.
if you're driving around and you get, where do you go?
Yeah, where's your favorite bathroom that you'll stop at? Buc-ee's?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
not in
Buc-ee's.
Hayes County though. But Buc-ee's,
Oh, I guess
absolutely.
not. I guess it isn't in Hayes County.
Not yet.
Yeah, that's
It's
right.
coming.
It's
Coming
coming.
soon.
It's coming. Okay.
Buc-ee's, yeah.
What's your favorite law enforcement television show?
Chicago PD.
Oh, Chicago PD. Okay.
Yeah.
If you could give one piece of advice to a criminal, what would it be? Don't be stupid.
That's a tough question, though. Just don't do stupid things.
Don't do
Good
stupid.
gosh.
Yeah, don't do stupid shit. That's
And if
my
you do,
line.
don't get caught.
That's right. What's the craziest thing you found while searching a vehicle?
You find some women's garments, sometimes. Undergarments, stuff like that, But that's you leave that behind.
Yeah.
That's it's evidence for a reason you pick it up. But
Okay, so you're going to love this question. This is my favorite question. Do you have a secret stash of donuts in your car? And if you do, are they Shipley's or Krispy Kreme?
first of all, I'm gonna be honest with you. Okay, I couldn't tell you the last time I had a donut.
Good for you, Gary.
But I do love them with a big glass of cold milk. But
Okay.
no, I don't have any donuts, and it's gonna be a toss-up whether it be Krispy Kreme or Shipley.
Is it Krispy's or Kreme? Okay, and then my last question is, what would you like your time in Hayes County, what would you like your legacy to be?
The accomplishments that I've done in the last 14 years with my command staff, I will never take credit for all that. Like I said, I had a very strong command staff, and we've made a lot of accomplishments there at the jail and within the Law Enforcement Bureau, and I'm very proud of that.
And upgrading, I remember you were instrumental in upgrading the equipment. You also were very instrumental in the Hayes County Sheriff's Academy. It's now the Allen Bridges Training Academy.
That's correct.
So there's been a lot of things that you have done.
Yeah, I have. I mean, like a couple of things right off the top, just to let you know, like in my jail, I got out of the medical field and we contracted out with a medical provider, which was huge.
Oh, yeah.
We don't need to be in the medical business. The commissary contracted that out, and we get money off of that, but we don't have to keep up with it. Another, in enforcement-wise, for one thing that's really been huge, and we started, another captain is now retired, we started our drone unit several years ago.
Oh.
That thing's very successful. We're very busy. They're almost called out every night. There's about 10 people in there that are certified in drones, and we got a very big, excellent drone unit because think about it. If there's an elderly person, dementia or something has wandered off in the woods, or a 3-year-old child, before I can get people in there walking or whatever, I can get a drone up quick.
With
to search that
infrared
area.
where they can look for heat.
Yeah, and so it's the drone units have been very
So
successful.
that probably, a lot of that has replaced what you probably would have used to use a helicopter
Yes,
for. So much
absolutely.
less expensive, much more versatile.
Oh, and then they got several units, have them in their, the guys that are certified, have them in their cars. They can be to the scene, get a drone up fast.
That's really
And
cool.
think
Maybe,
about it.
maybe
got
you
a
need to
3-year
get a drone for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're the last person to get a drone.
That's right. That's
But
right.
think about it. If you got a 3-year-old child in an area where there's a lot of water,
Yeah.
let's find this child.
Yeah. Like right now.
Yeah, like right now.
Yeah.
And now, a funny story about that, we had some people complain like, well, you're going to come over my swimming pool and look at us sunbathing. And I said, only reason we'd come over your swimming pool is if I'm looking for about 3 or 4 year old child
Yeah.
that may have wandered around.
Yeah, and we wanna make
Otherwise,
sure
I
they're
don't
not
care
in the
about
pool.
your sunbathing.
Yeah.
You know.
Wow.
Well,
That would
Gary-
be something Michelle would do.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. No, I'd be like, hey, how you doing? Gary, we are so fortunate that you have been with us for over a decade, and I am personally very proud to call you a friend of mine, and I'm really excited that you are supporting Anthony, and I hope we get this man elected for the sake of Hayes County, but you will definitely and sorely be missed.
Well, thank you very much. I love my job. I love my job.
Yeah.
I've loved it the whole time I've been there. And like I say, and Anthony can come right in and keep right on going and carry us to the next level.
Yeah.
And I like the idea of the youth coming in. Anthony's young. There's a lot of sheriffs in the state of Texas that are older sheriff. But I mean, bring somebody in like Anthony with his new ideas and that he'll build off of to keep that sheriff's department going. Yeah. Remember, I live in the county too. I got grandkids in this county too.
Sure. I think if, you were talking about your legacy, if you can come into office and leave that office in a much better place than when you came in, that's a thing to be proud of.
And you did.
So, and you did.
I feel comfortable we did that.
The county's been blessed to have you as sheriff, and they're going to miss you when you're gone.
Well, I appreciate that. Like I said, I've loved my job.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us on the show. I'm glad you finally gave in to Michelle and came and agreed to come sit in here with us.
I've had a drone on him for the last 6 months.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I got the handcuffs right here. If you want me to take her away for a day, go ahead and let me know.
I think we should get a picture with you in handcuffs.
That'd be
Perp
pretty
walking
good.
you to the car.
That's right. That's perfect. Thank you so much, Gary, for joining us. Okay.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming in. Ready to turn your land dreams into reality? Look no further than Capital Farm Credit.
Need a loan for your perfect piece of land? Capital Farm Credit is there for you.
Their dedicated team will tailor a loan to fit your unique needs because your dreams are their priority.
Capital Farm Credit. Your land, your legacy. Visit capitalfarmcredit.com or Mark Rutledge at 512-892-4425.
Capital Farm Credit. Together, we're better.
Capital Farm Credit, an equal credit housing lender.
Nomic Power Solutions, keeping you powered up.
Get to know your local full-service Generac dealer.
Cody and Dylan with Nomic Power Solutions are a veteran-owned, Texas-based Generac dealer and installer.
Offering low monthly payment options, it's never been easier to gain independence from the grid.
Call or text 512-387-4232 or visit nomicpower.com. Follow on Instagram at Nomic Power for updates.
Turnkey service including design, plumbing, electrical, and permits.
They even offer set it and forget it maintenance plans. Nomic Power Solutions.
Protect your home. Protect your family. Stay ready. Elevate your living experience with M. Elliott Studio, your trusted partner in interior design, registered and licensed by the state of Texas.
You want your home to reflect your personal style and identity. Investing in a well-crafted design doesn't just beautify your home, it enriches your life.
Team principal and owner, Montana Elliott, understands the profound impact of a thoughtfully designed space. From remodeling to full design, M. Elliott Studio is the first step to unlocking your style.
Turn your aspirations into reality. Tailored to your taste and desires, M. Elliott Studio will work to create an environment that embraces your style with style.
Your space, their expertise.
melliotstudio.com 512-781-0224.
This show has been brought to you in part by the real estate pros at the Mallet Integrity Team. When you're looking to buy or sell, you need them on your side. Why settle for less when you can have real estate done right? Give them a call at 512-829-2062 or get more info at malletintegrityteam.com.
You know you like us, so go now to Apple Podcast or Spotify and leave us a review. Why don't ya? We love your feedback and comments. Email us at malletandmichelle@gmail.com.
Thanks for putting up with us.